story basically tracks how the queen led the army to fight the Thai Siamese forces. And all the mythologies all come in here. 所有的功夫革命。So you can see all the warriors are all women in that society. Okay, so all these people are actually Malayan Malays. Ahang is a Malay state. You can see the general, the queen. The Queens of Lankasuka. So if you are interested, it's in English subtitles. I'm sure by now they would have a Chinese subtitle too. Please go and watch, because this movie tells you a little bit about how women were so powerful in the Muslim Thai society in the past. Okay? So let's quickly go on and we'll end soon. And of course, one other reason why women are so powerful in the past was because of the power of myths, the power of stories, right? And the Malays have all these interesting stories about women. What is myth in the Chinese language? What? What? Shenhua. All these myths, stories that are there. And there were myths about Malay women were rampant. There were a lot of myths of Malay women. And it's always linked to sorcery and witchcraft. Witchcraft, we call it in Southeast Asia, Chinese call it Hong Tao. What do you call it in Chinese? That means you can do magic and then make this person become crazy. What is that? What is it called in Chinese? Wushi. Women were the best in this, and it is actually encouraged for you to not mess with a Malay woman, especially when she is pregnant. So Malays have this myth: do not mess with a Malay woman when she is pregnant, because when you don't take care of her and she dies when she is giving birth, she'll become like this. Behind you now, right? Okay? And she is called in Malay Punti Anak. Punti Anak means a woman who goes around with a baby. Why she goes around with a baby? Because she and the baby died during childbirth, and now she becomes a Kueh. Kueh, right? A ghost. And Malays until today believe in this. Why do they have these stories? Why do they have all these scary stories? In Chinese one, they go like this, right? Right? Is there really ghosts? These things, do they actually exist? Yes or no? No. Have you seen one before? Sometimes. Right? Do these things actually exist? They don't exist actually. But why do people still tell this story? You see all the movie, right? About they take right, put it on the head pump. The ghost cannot think really. Right? Why does this story exist? This story exists as a form of social control. Write it down. It is a form of social control. You need to tell these stories to tell people, do not mess with women. If you mess with women, she become like this. If you take care of her, she will be human being. Correct? If you do something to her, she will die, she becomes a ghost. These stories actually serve to remind the husbands, the brothers, the fathers to always take care of the woman folk. So myths are a form of social control. Myths may not be true, but it had a social function. That's why you need to tell all these myths. Is there such thing as a dragon? Long. Have you seen a dragon before? Only during Chinese New Year, right? Right? But do dragons exist? Only one dragon only, Komodo dragon. Right? Is there a dragon that fly around? No such thing. But why Chinese believe in dragon? What does the dragon symbolize? It symbolizes power. Dragon symbolizes power. The man who can control the dragon can control the entire nation. And that's why you have all these stories about the dragon. And that's why whenever you want to be a leader, whenever you want to choose a leader, find in Singapore, the Chinese believe, if you want to elect a leader, find a leader who is born on the year of the dragon, me, 1976. Long. Right? So these stories actually make people believe that there is a function. And the power of myths about the Malaysian woman were very rampant. And like I said just now, lead to all these things. More importantly is that this myth fulfill many functions to ensure the physical protection of women in society. You need to tell all these woman ghost stories. Why? Because if a woman go out at night and the man see, should I disturb? I could not. So this is the function of the story. Second, to enforce customary laws in place and to maintain harmonious relations in the household. So that's the purpose of making all these ghost stories. The stories are not true, but the functions are very important. Powerful, right? The Malays, they use stories to take care of the woman. And because of that, in some parts of Malay society, they have what they call as matrilineal culture. What is matrilineal culture? That means your property, when you die, in other cultures, the money goes to the son. In Southeast Asia, in some parts, the money goes to the daughter. Only in Southeast Asia, no other place in the world. That's what we call as the matrilineal culture. Women are very powerful. Now, I have given you the picture of the pre-colonial period. When the colonial powers came, when the Dutch, the Spanish, the British came to Southeast Asia, all of this started to change. If in the past women were on top of society, when the Dutch and the Spanish came, all of this began to change, and Europeans brought with them masculinist practices and patriarchal values. The white people, when they come to Southeast Asia, they were very shocked. How come women are so powerful? And they didn't like it. They wanted to change it. What did they do? They made women to only fulfill minor roles in society. If women last time can marry, divorce, now the colonial power said stop. You marry, you divorce, you cannot remarry again. And that's why you see the problem until today. Remarrying becomes difficult. And reformers within the Malay women, however, ensured that women remain educated. So even though colonial powers came, there were reformers in that society that said to the women, do not follow what the colonial powers tell you to do. Reform yourself, and that's why they set up what we call as madrasas and the pondoks. Schools. The reformers set up schools. Madrasas and pondoks are basically Islamic schools. They were established to give women education, to empower women. We are ending at 3, is it? 3 o'clock, right? I will end very quickly. But because of colonialism, they developed what is called as the female underclass. For the first time in Southeast Asian history, they have this category called Malay prostitutes. Prostitutes in Chinese is, it's not Kuliching. What is the word prostitute in Chinese? In Mandarin? Prostitute. What? Qingyu. Yeah. So the Europeans were the ones who invented this group called the prostitutes. And they developed in Malay society the female underclass. So you can read about this in this book, Wives, Slaves and Concubines. Malay women suddenly found themselves to be at the lowest end of society, and some women who managed to educate themselves, they became educated and they become involved in anti-colonial movements as well. So I went to the National Literature Museum recently, nearby here, Taiwan National Literature Museum, and I found that in Taiwan also, under the Japanese, Taiwan was colonized by the Japanese, but during the Japanese colonial period, Taiwanese became conscious of their condition and they start their own reformist movements. Some of them start to write novels and poems and short stories. Many of them were actually women as well. So women started to empower themselves. By the 1950s, all Malay women became modernized, right? And they were involved in many social movements, political parties, and grassroots organizations. So I wrote a book about this, and women started to go to work into the factories. In Taiwan, in the 1940s, in the 1920s, I saw it in the museum, women started to become industrial workers, correct? They started to produce, I think here, they had cotton industry, all sorts of industries, engineering. And in this article that I wrote before, these women basically went on a radical struggle against colonial powers. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that what colonialism did was to remove women from the powerful position that they had, to become insignificant. But some women fought back and tried to empower themselves again. That brings us now to the current situation. What is the current situation? Traditional norms are becoming less and less important. So if in the past there is this respect between men and women, the gender relations were of equal respect, now women are saying, we want more rights. That's why now you all hear a lot about women's rights, right? The sole idea of women's rights is not actually from Asian societies. Asian societies do not have a concept of women's rights. Why? Because women already had rights. This idea of women's rights comes from Europe, from the West. Because the traditional norms have become less and less, now we have new challenges. Malay women become exposed to the world more than ever before because of modernity. Now they have technology, they know a lot of things. More and more women can read than ever before. If you look at your grandmother, can your grandmother read? Can your grandmother read? Your grandmother cannot read. Can your mother read? Read more. Can you read? Even more than your grandmother. Women can read more than ever before, and they are sometimes even more educated than men. If you look at this room, are there more men or more women? Now you suddenly open your eyes, right? You want me to test? Woman, put up your hand. All women, put up your hand. If you think you are a woman, put up your hand. Right? All, okay, put down. All men, put up your hand. You see? How many? Is there more women or more men? More women, because men pentang. Who is the most clever one now? Women are more educated than men, and that's why a study that was done recently also in Taiwan, Taiwanese men find it very difficult to cehun. Why? Because the woman has degree, the man has diploma, pentang. This one, I want to marry this pentang guy. I want to marry same level. Correct, right? I go around your campus also. More women, even when I went to engineering site canteen, I went to engineering canteen. So many women in engineering. So there is a crisis. Modernity brought about a new crisis. Women becomes more educated than men, and the more important thing, as I was saying just now, women control the money and they want to be independent. Your money is your money. My money is not your money. Your money can be my money. No money, no honey. Correct? So the husband's money, the wife wants it. The wife money, the husband cannot control it. When a crisis comes, when they fight among each other, the woman says, sorry, you don't touch my things, I won't touch your things. Once divorced, I get all your things. So the problem with financial independence, and women are more mobile. So I have a lot of friends, Chinese friends, husband in Singapore, wife in Hong Kong. My friend, currently, husband in Singapore, wife in Hong Kong. I say, how you meet your wife? 1 year, 3 times. 1 year, 3 times. What you do? 1 year, 3 times. I see her 1 week, I go back to Singapore. I say, what kind of a wife is this? Weekend wife. Right? A new concept. Yeah, or bubble tea wife. If I want to drink, I drink. If I want to drink, put it away. So they become more mobile. Women are more mobile. And what does modernity does? Modernity basically make women more and more concerned about career. What happens when you are too concerned about career? Wow, she's already very worried already. Well, you look very worried now. What happens when you are so concerned about career? I'm joking, don't worry. I'm not saying you're worried. What happens when you are too concerned about your career? What happens? Can somebody say something? What happens? When you are concerned about career, when you are concerned about career, you don't want to have a family. You want to have your own life. I want to live in Megawar. I don't want to live in Taiwan. Bye-bye, Taiwan. I live in Megawar. And then you go to Megawar, you don't like Megawar. Okay, move again. I go and live in Britain. You like Britain, you move again, Dubai. You move. In the end, you and yourself. You have your career. So they develop amongst Malay women careerism. Right? What has happened now in Malaysia, especially, is that because these women have been concerned about their career for so long, they are now in their 40s, they are super rich. They are super rich. Their salary is at least, according to studies, 150,000 NT. NTT, you all call NTT, right? 150,000 a month. And they are alone. Nobody to spend to, no husband, no children. So what do? They marry a guy who is married and only see him once in 3 months. So like me, I'm married. This woman, she's not married. She said, never mind, I marry you, but you only come and see me once in 3 months. They call it nikah misyar. Nikah misyar. You can Google it. We only do part-time. You are my part-time husband. Yeah, I'm not joking. You can go and search it. Malaysia temporary marriage, or misyar, MISYAR. You can Google it. In Malaysia, it's a big thing, right? And more importantly, what has happened to women? It has led to singlehood. How do you say singlehood in Chinese? They work alone. They live alone. They take care of their own selves. In Taiwan society, again, looking at statistics, the same issue. A lot of women stay alone until they are old, and this is a new trend actually. Or they have childless marriages. They get married but no children. And this leads to what we call as multiple marginalization. And when I say multiple marginalization, I'm not saying that they don't have money. Marginalized, you know what's marginalized, right? They were pushed away from society. Why? Chinese New Year, you are 30 years old already. You go to visit your relatives, Chinese New Year. First thing, your auntie will ask you. First question, well, you laugh already. You know already. What's the first question? What's the first question? Are you married? What, how to say in Chinese?
结婚了吗？
结婚了吗? Sometimes. Right? Are you married? No. When you are married already, Chinese New Year you come? Where is the son? Correct, huh? Next Chinese New Year you come, one son, where is the daughter? This is what I call multiple marginalization. Because the society's standards are going up and up, but women's expectations are going the other way. Who is suffering now? Men suffering? No. Who is suffering? Women. So the gender relations, go back to gender when I began with gender, right? The gender relations have become lopsided. If in the past a person is divorced, bring all the kids Chinese New Year and say, these are my children, 7. Are you married? Not yet. Wait another 1 month, then I get married. Wow, very good. Right? Now you come alone, you're not married, everybody will ask, hey, what is wrong with you? You're already 32, still not married. Say, auntie, my salary 150 NT, who cares? I don't care you how many salary. I want to see the baby. So this is the issue now. In Malaysia, it's a big thing because for the Malays, to be rich is to have a big family, not to have a good job. And in Chinese society, traditional Chinese society, it was also like that. So this is the fertility rate. I just want to show you in numbers. From 1960, number of births in Southeast Asia was this high, and then it went down and down and down and down. Why become like that? Henley. Who is the Henley one? Man Henley or woman Henley? Woman Henley. Sorry, not today. Right? Tomorrow? Oh, not today also. Saturday, want to go shopping. Sunday, net, I want to go net. Okay, so this is the problem. Low birth rates. And what happens when you have low birth rates? What happens when you have low birth rates? Nobody to take care of the old people. So, less number of children, but people are living longer and longer and longer. Correct or not? If in the past, by 60 years old, people already dropped dead. Now people are living until 80 years old. Who's going to take care of the old people who don't have children? If I am single, I'm not married, I'm 80 years old, who is going to take care of me? Huh? I have to take care of myself. That means I must keep myself healthy. But if I am sick, bye-bye. If I am sick, and this is Singapore's problem now. Singapore has this problem. We are living long lives in Singapore. Average death mortality rate among Singaporeans now is 75 years old. So Singaporeans live until 75. Average birth rates among Chinese is 1.01. And it's still going down now. So nobody is taking care of Chinese. So whenever I go out with my children, 6 children, the auntie on the MRT will ask me, are these all your children? She asked me, these all your children? Maybe, I said. It should be. So many. I said, yeah, so many. And then she said, I'm behind. I said, auntie, why you say I'm clever? She said, I have 2 children, all gone. I take MRT alone. Auntie, for me, okay, I have 6. Even I old also, 2 more will follow me. So you see, the values have changed, the lifestyle have changed, the impact is on society and on gender relations. That's why when you get married, what do? Have a lot of children. Right? Every year give birth 1. Yeah. So now I want to ask you this question and then we end off 3 o'clock. Are women in the Malay world better off today or were they better off in the pre-colonial past? Which one is better? Is it better before or now? Well, Taiwan. I asked Taiwan. Now, are women now better or in the past better? You got to think about it. Think about it from the perspective of gender relations. Are your lives now better? Because you have all this modernity, handphone, you have university education, is your life much better than the pre-colonial period, where gender roles were very clear, and your life were actually much more simpler? So, I want you all to think about this question, and then go back and talk to your grandma if she's still alive. Ask your grandma, what was life during your time, and then reflect on our time. I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad, okay? But something for you to think about, especially in terms of how men and women get along with each other in society. Any last questions before we end? Anybody have anything to ask about gender? Don't have? Okay, if there's nothing, I'll hand over to Khairudin.
这个时钟是不是快了半个小时？It's half an hour fast.
Say, oh, half an hour fast. Oh, supposed to be 1:30, is it?
Now it's 2:30. It's 2:30 now.
Oh, 2:30. So oh, I was looking at the time, not my watch.
It's dead.
Oh, is it? So we are supposed, the lecture is usually what, 2 hours?
Yeah. But leave for the questions.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah, 赶快问问题啊。
Anybody have any questions to ask? Oh, supposed to be 2-hour lecture, is it? Oh, that's very long, very thirsty. Right? Usually in Singapore, I have 2 hours lecture, I don't talk for 2 hours. Because I know nobody is listening to me. Right? So 1 hour 30 minutes, I stop already. But do you have anything that you want to ask? Or anything that you are thinking about when it comes to Taiwan? Because whatever I'm saying, you must relate it to Taiwan also. Because whatever we are faced with in Southeast Asia is the same in Taiwan. Actually, I'm telling you, I've been here for 4 days now. In the army, I was here in 1996. I was in Taiwan, in Kaohsiung, Hengchun, as an army person. Now I come to Taiwan. Taiwan is the same as Malaysia. Your society is the same. Taiwanese Chinese are very nice people, very friendly. 香港, when you ask them, 你帮我啊? Taiwanese, if you ask them, can you help me? Okay, no problem. Okay, anything you all want to share about Taiwan, about women in Taiwan? Yes. Yeah, so the more children you have in the Malay world in the past, the more people will respect you. Why people respect you? Because you are seen as someone who has control of manpower. That's why I say population is power. And the children that you have, the society will ensure that they will fulfill certain functions in that society, whether it's men or it's women. So that's why I say fertility is a big thing. In fact, even now, modern life, if you have Chinese New Year and you come like me, 6 children, right? When you have 6 children, people will say, "Ayah, how your children eat? No money." Actually, it's not true. People ask, my Chinese friend ask me, "How do you manage 6 kids?" I said, every Saturday, Sunday, you go to club, drink beer. One drink, $100, $100 US. This one drink you drink, I can feed my children for 1 week for their food. So who save money? I save money, you save money. Right? So the more children you have, actually your wealth increases, not decreases. But modernity has made us believe the more children you have, the poorer you become, which is not true. If you look at Chinese in Taiwan, 1 child, right? They have how many child? 1 child. That 1 child must learn piano, must go to gym, right? Must take tuition, must go to this. They spend so much money. So it's not true that the bigger the family, the worse it gets. So the Malay society, the bigger the family, the more support it gets. I'm sure now your government wants you all to have more children, correct? Yes, right? Aga, there's a campaign to get you guys to get married. It's so difficult to get you guys to get married. Is that correct? Taiwanese people don't want to get married. Is that true? Yeah. Why? Because marriage is very expensive. So in the past, the Malays, they don't think about money first. They think about values first. Values is what in Chinese? What? Jiaz. The values is very important. Family values, the value of being with young children and imparting knowledge to young children. Any other question? I want women to talk more because this lecture is about you. Yeah.
What would happen if a woman has his wife?
What would happen in the past if a man hit his wife? Oh man, that's a very good question. As I told you just now, what do the women have? Firstly, the thing on their head. Right. Okay, in one society called Bugis, B-U-G-I-S, Bugis. Bugis is a group of people in Indonesia. The Bugis have this code, Tau, the code where if you hit my sister, my auntie, my mother, if you hit my sister, my auntie, my mother, woman, I will take you. You hit, right, my sister. I will take you over there. You come here with me, and then I will take a sarong. A sarong is a cloth that they wear. You know the cloth that they wear? Malay people, they like to wear the cloth. They will take the sarong. That guy hit my sister, right? You go inside the sarong. I go inside the sarong. I give you a knife. You hold your knife. I hold my knife. We step. See who dies first. You want to mess with your auntie? You want to mess with your auntie? So nobody dies. So this question will not exist in the society. When it happens in Singapore, there is one island, right? Like Taiwan is an island called Pulau Belakang Mati, translated as the island of which you will get stabbed from the back. That's the name of the island. Now they call it Sentosa, peaceful island. In the past, now it's called Sentosa. It's a resort. In the past, it's called Pulau Belakang Mati, where these Bugis people, whenever their daughters get disturbed, they will start stabbing. And I tell you, once you go inside the sarong, before you even step, they will stab you. You die. So nobody dare to do anything bad to the ladies. If they hit the woman become the ghost. So better not. If you want to hit her, better you kill her. Right? If not, you better don't touch her. Any other question? About women? About Taiwanese women? What do you observe about Taiwanese women? Now the men, I want you all to speak up. Don't be afraid, you will get married someday. And you have to deal with this. What do you all observe? Yeah. Exactly. Do they only marry foreign traders or do they also marry locals? Both. But they prefer foreign traders. Why? Because they can divorce faster. One. Second, they also want to change their face. You understand? When you marry with an Arab person, Malay, they are no small. Marry Arab, become big. That was the culture. They want to marry as many people as possible so that their children united colors of benefit. Right? So like my wife, her father is Malay. Her mother is Chinese. My wife. My father is Arab. My mother is Indian. So what is my children? Arab, Indian, Chinese, Malay. 4. So some look Chinese, some look Malay, some look Arab. And this is the practice. So they prefer the outsiders. And that's why Malays were much more intelligent in the past. Now, a little bit less. Really, they have done the study. Mahathir, actually, the current Prime Minister of Malaysia, he once wrote a book saying the reason why Malays are not as good as Chinese is because they tend to marry amongst themselves. And I see this, sorry to say, I see this in Taiwan. I told one of the students, Wasim, that I noticed that Taiwanese, they like to marry one another, correct? Huh? Each other. Maybe Taipei is a bit different, but in Tainan, a lot of marrying amongst yourself. When you do that, your gene pool doesn't expand. This is go back to the science. In order for your gene pool to expand, you must marry out of your community. So I'm Arab, I don't marry Arab. I marry Malay Chinese. So my children will be more smarter. And they can speak more language. I can speak Malay, a little bit of Arabic, or Hawaii, a little bit, because my grandmother also has Chinese blood. My wife can understand Mandarin. My daughter can understand Arabic. When you are mixed, you can do many things. So when you want to get married, don't marry Chinese. Go and find some other Malayan, Indian, mix the blood. Your children will be more beautiful also. That's all means, right? Only thing, I want to marry American. All these Americans, they also have their own issues, right? Some more? We have a few more minutes. Any other question? Yeah.
How did the women's power start in Malaysia?
How did women power start? What do you mean start?
Develop.
How did they develop? Well, we don't know when they become like this, but from the studies that have been done, from archaeology, you know what's archaeology, right? Even when they dig stuff, they found, like the statue, I showed you the picture just now about the ladies. This power has gone all the way before 2,000 years ago. Now, where are Malays? Where were Malays? What were the origins of the Malays? Where did Malays come from? There are many theories. Malays actually come from Taiwan. You know that? Malays actually come from Taiwan. You are actually Han. You are all Han Taiwanese. That is the tribe, what they call it in, the museum. The tribal people. What is the Chinese word for it? The people who live in the mountains. These people are actually Malays. They migrated to Southeast Asia many thousand years ago, and they bring their cultures. In their cultures, women are very powerful. If you investigate on their cultures, women have a lot of power, domestic power. So this thing has begun thousands of years ago, and until today, it's still, some of it is still alive. Right? Any more? Yeah. Do Malays prefer daughters or sons? Okay, I'll tell you this good story. In the 1930s until the 1970s, when Chinese get a daughter, what they do? They sell the daughter to the Malay for $5. $5 is 100 NTT. 100 NTT and you get a daughter. Why? Because Malays love children. And they like Chinese children. Why? Why they like Chinese children? Like you? Because the color. 漂亮啊. Malay is what color? Like me, brown. Chinese is what color? Yellow. So they take the Chinese children, make them Muslim, they learn Malay, they all grow up as Malays. So Malays love daughters. They take as many children. That's why if you go to Singapore today, many of the Malays are actually Chinese, who were given away by the Chinese family for $5. $5. Either you give the Chinese family $5 or you give them a chicken. Chicken in Chinese is what? Yeah, you give them one chicken, they give you one daughter. See? Good deal, right? Yeah, you give the chicken, they give you the daughter. That was how low the Chinese look at girls in the past. They don't like, once they get girls only, they feel very ashamed. Why I get girls? And they give away to Malays. So Malays, the number of Malays increase. The number of Chinese went down. What happened when the number of Chinese went down? What do? They bring in from China, come to Singapore to increase. Okay. Last question. Anybody else? Only the girls ask. I want the boys to ask.
Abdullah 可以哈，这边有一个，还有一个。
The boys are quiet.
你先。
Yeah, another girl. You see, that's why girls are better, more educated than men. Yeah.
If Malay women have any ritual when they get married, or just say, "Oh, I want to get married."
Oh, is there a ritual for the woman to get married to the man? Okay. Most Malays are Muslims. You all know that, right? In Southeast Asia, the majority, as I said just now, they are Muslims. When a Malay woman wants to marry the guy, there are two ways to get married. One, in the past, the parents of the girl will find the guy for her. Much like the Chinese. You don't choose. I find for you in the past. Now, the girl will identify the guy, but before they get married, the father must say, okay. Father, not mother. The father must say, okay, because in Islamic law, the father is what they call as the wali of the girl. He has to agree, and then the mother will say, yes, I give the blessing, then she can get married. That's, yeah.
Guardian, yeah.
The guardian, they call it. So the parents are very, very important in the whole equation. How is it like in Taiwan? If you want to get married, who you ask first? Mother first or ask father first? Do they have civil marriage here?
Yeah, yeah, they do.
They do. Where they get married without informing their parents. Do you have it? A lot, right? I heard also this thing is also growing because of westernization. They just live together, in fact. Yeah, in fact, I found out some of these undergrads here, they also live together. Happy. It's okay. Papa, mama don't know. Yeah. So, because of the loss of the traditional norms. Right? Okay? Boys, really, you have nothing to ask?
I'm from Malaysia, Abdullah.
Abdullah, you're from Malaysia?
Yeah.
Boleh cakap Melayu? Habis diam-diam aja. Tak cakap apa-apa. Mana boleh sikit? Wah, dia say, 我明白马来一点一点. Yeah.
Can I speak English?
Yeah, of course, you can speak English.
To the Islamic civilization will give the impact to power of women in Malaysia or the Malay world.
Right.
When the civilization come, the Islamic coming in the Malay world.
Yeah. Did the coming of Islam give more power to women? Well, there are some scholars who said with the coming of Islam, women's power will reduce, which is not true. Actually, Islam put in more laws than ever before in the Hindu period, but what the Muslims did was to change the rules. Because in the past, women could have a divorce without any procedure. When Malays were Hinduism do not have a code of law like Islam. Their code of law is more flexible. So if I marry you and I want to divorce you, tomorrow I say, bye-bye, that's it, back up, go. In Islamic law, you cannot do that. In the Islamic law, the wife's welfare comes first. Then the husband's rights. You get what I'm saying? The wife's welfare, because they have this concept of maslahah of the wife comes first. So
权利.
权利. Yeah, 权利 comes first. So if they want to have a divorce, there is this fara'id where they calculate, or the mut'ah, they calculate how much the wife is supposed to get. So Islam actually empowered the woman even more than ever before, than during the Hindu period. The Muslims bring in more laws to protect women. The only issue that Islam did that was, to me, not that good was that when Islam came to Southeast Asia, it did not regulate how Malays think about ghosts. The Muslims didn't remove that. These myths that I was talking about just now, the Muslims didn't remove that part. And because of that, until today, there's all this belief and this fear that is always there in the Malay society. Other than that, when it comes to laws and regulation, Islam made it even more powerful than ever before. When colonialism came, colonialism put in the Western law. This is when the law becomes totally imbalanced. And that's why we have problems until today. In Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia now, I'm a Muslim, she's a Muslim, she's my wife. I'm just giving a hypothetical situation. We're not getting married yet. The point is that I'm a Muslim, she's a Muslim, we got married, correct? And then we decide to divorce. Okay? Henley, decide to divorce. She wants to divorce me. I say I don't want to divorce you. I still love you. So I don't want to divorce you. In Islamic law, she can still divorce me, but she doesn't have the right to my property. Why? Because she divorced me, ma. In Islamic law, they protect the welfare. That means if she wants a divorce, I have to protect her welfare, but my wealth doesn't go to her. I only pay her for the number of years that I have been married to her, and she deserves this money. But she doesn't deserve my property because she wants a divorce. Right? If I want a divorce, the property goes to her. Right? But because that is Islamic law, correct? And then there is the civil law. But she said, oh, you don't want to give me money because of Islamic law? Fine. I go to the civil law and I sue you. And this is what happened to my friend. The wife divorced him. Islamic law says the wife cannot have property. She can use the civil law. So how many law you have now? 2 law. And this becomes a problem. So if I want to marry her and she doesn't want, when we get married, we have to, see, I marry so many people today. When we want to get married, we must go to the Islamic court, correct or not? We call it the Sharia court. I want to marry her, but she said, I don't want to be Muslim. I want to remain as Buddhist or Taoist. We still want to get married. The Islamic court say, you cannot get married because she's not a Muslim. Never mind. We don't follow Islamic court. We go to civil court. And that has caused a lot of problems. You can see the problem now? The problem of having 2 laws, what we call as a dual system of law. Yeah, this is now the problem in Southeast Asia as a whole. And I think Taiwan soon will have the same issue as well. Yeah. Okay?
还有吗 ？OK， 真的没有吗？再问一次。没有的话回去好。哦呀呀呀。
Yeah, finally a man.
对，我一直没有。
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. But you're from Malaysia, so tak boleh kira, cannot count. Yeah? You pun dari Malaysia. Wait, how many Malaysians are there in this room?
Quite a lot.
You guys are spies from Southeast Asia. Yeah, dari semua dari Malaysia. So you all know all these things that I say actually. But you pretend like, you know, this is bad. So, okay, Malaysian.
Why Malays can have 4 wives?
Why Malays can have 4 wives? Why Chinese, non-Malays, not Malays, because it should be why Muslims can have 4 wives? Why they can marry more than 1, basically, right? Why do you think they can marry 4 wives? I'll ask a question first. What? Because what? Because of the religion. Okay, that's one explanation. Some more? Some more? Why they can marry 4 wives? Because of the problem in this room. Because of the problem in this room. What's the problem in this room? What?
More women.
More women than men. But that's not a good explanation. Fair enough? Because the feminist woman will say, what nonsense is this? The idea of polygamy, marrying 4 wives, is called polygamy, right? Has a context to it. When it was allowed, that was a time when the Muslim society was very small, and they were in constant war with other communities. When you have war, what happens? Who dies first? Man dies. When man dies, what happens? Less men, more women. So polygamy helps to ensure that the society remains intact and morally upright, so that women will not be single, men can marry until 4. But societies change, and that's why in the 19th century, there were these ulama or Muslim scholars like Muhammad Abduh and Rashid Reda in Egypt. They say, in our time, polygamy, even though it is allowed in Islam, it must not be practiced. The reason is there are equal number of men and women, same number. If you look at Malaysia now, if you look at the statistics, Malays always say there are more women. No, they are bluffing. There are actually the same number of men and women. You should only be married one wife, but you are allowed to marry more than one if you are able to be fair. Now I marry her, and then I marry her. Alright? Can I be fair to both of them? How to be fair? How to be fair? How much is a house in Tainan? I just checked. Apartment, 3 room, 350,000 Singapore dollars. One house in Tainan. Apartment freehold. Near to the campus area. I already checked property prices. Okay? Nabil can confirm with me. Type